It's another episode of Porterverse Workbench. So in this episode, a rarity is happening. We're going to be actually covering an official character. Here is my new model of Daisy, the diesel railcar. Now, Daisy is a character that I've always liked. I've always found her design pretty inspiring and characterization over the years has been pretty brilliant. Some of her episodes are super entertaining. And someone knew from the start that Daisy was going to be a must-do for the collection. So in Railway Series canon, Daisy is a British Railways Class 101. Like a lot of things in the Porterverse, things will be a little different. In the Porterverse, Daisy is a British Railways Class 121 bubble car built in 1960. So Daisy's Porterverse backstory is essentially almost the exact same as Railway Series, just different basis. The process of making Daisy's model was honestly really easy. Simply, Daisy is a Hornby 121 bubble car repainted into the iconic colors. Fun fact, the variant I purchased was the Coca-Cola livery. Patents had a deal at the time and had them pretty cheap, so I just picked one up. I took the whole body apart, window paint and all, and then I primed the body in a gray acrylic. After the primer was applied, came the green paint. In universe, the livery is known as Emerald Jade, but the actual painting used in the real world is known as Holly Branch by Apple Barrel. After a few coats of this green paint, I then painted the roof. The roof was already gray, but it was a fairly dark gray and it didn't really match the green at all really. It felt off to me. So I just painted into a lighter gray, which I feel like it matches a lot better in my opinion. After the roof came all the finer details with the gold, like the gold stripe on the top, on the roof, etc. I was planning on adding a stripe on the side like a pinstripe like in Daisy's official livery, but I knew that'd be really hard to accomplish and I actually kind of like this simpler look, you know? After the bodywork was all done, I went to the chassis and I used a red paint pen to make the running board red, and also a silver sharpie for the buffers. I feel like silver buffers are almost a must for an 18 Daisy model. It brings the whole model together, you know, given that she's pretty stuck up, fancy kind of character, you know? After a quick clear coat to the body and a reassembly process, Daisy was basically complete. It's pretty cool. I like this model a lot. Oh yeah, and I'm happy to announce that I have some new characters as well in the works as well. Pip and Emma, yep, you heard that right, Pip and Emma are coming to the Porterverse Workbench. And I can't wait to show you guys what they look like. As of recording, they should have arrived by the time this video goes up. So stay tuned for that in the distant future. Thank you all very, very, very much for watching this episode of Porterverse Workbench. And like always, I will see you all in the next one. It has been a fat minute since the last Porterverse Lore Emily's installment, so let's do a quick one today. Number 1. Donald is more of a goods engine compared to his brother Douglas, and as such, he will be equipped with a Giesel ejector type funnel in 1971. This was done to save on fuel costs, as goods engines on the railway were generally more consumptuous of coal, if you will. And the Giesel ejector funnel can still be seen on Donald today. Number 2. Brenda was formerly known as Byron until her transition in 2010. Number 3. The Pax Yard is located in Abbey. Abbey is more of the outskirts area of Kildane, and thus has a lot more space available at the House of Pax headquarters. And they've been there since their inception in 1963. Number 4. James and Percy actually have a common origin, as they were both built by the Northwestern Railway. James was the first one built in 1924, and Percy will be followed in 1926. And they were both the only members of their respective classes to be built, and they were based on other locomotives at the time. Number 5. Packard and Company was established in 1963 in Abbey. They would go on to help the construction of the Harwick branch in the early 70s, although the vehicles that helped in that construction effort were not the Packard members that we know of today. They were actually the first 9 members in ward numbers 1 through 9. The second generation features the characters we know like Jack and Alfie, and they will first begin to appear starting in 1995. And it's the current generation that's still around today. It is no secret that there have been a ton of magazine characters in the Thomas brand over the years, entities of the utmost obscurity, you could say. And a lot of them are actually pretty interesting to look into. And so for today, while I work on the map in the background, I figured I might as well get this video out, where we will look over some of the magazine characters of Thomas the Tank Engine. Sydney, not Diesel, a narrow gauge engine, is an 060 tank engine created by Timothy Marwood. In his debut story, he interacted the most with Duck when he was being delivered to his new home, that being the scenic railway. Duck and Sydney pretty much argue over which one is more scenic, and in the end, Duck eventually wins, but that's kind of it, really. Pretty interesting. Like the livery. Little Barford is basically a Peterson recolor that works at the Soda power station officially. Gordon and I think Percy would meet him while delivering coal to the power station. Not much is really known about him. Victor is actually a personal favorite of mine out of the bunch of magazine characters. It has a pretty interesting backstory. In the story published in 2000, known as Old Victor, James picks him up, and when he's uncovered from a tarp, he scares Percy away and insults James. And then it's later revealed that Old Victor here is grumpy because he is almost certainly said to be scrapped. So James hides him in a siding, and then about a week later, he ends up being placed in a playground for the children to play in and around. And now Victor is happy as he was safe from scrap, and he finds being a playground much better than being dead. That's actually kind of cool, as it was somewhat paralleled in Calling All Engines when Gordon had a dream where he was turned into a playground. It's pretty cool. 13 first appeared in the story The Unlucky Engine from 1998. 13 is also a freelance design who was brought on to help Donald and Douglas one time. And during his time on Soda, he was found to be very unlucky and caused a lot of delays. And so when he was sent out for repairs, the twins thought he would be gone for good. But he actually got a new firebox in his repairs as well, and that seemingly ended his streak of bad luck. Although the twins were eventually right, as 13 will eventually return to the mainland, albeit a much happier engine now that his luck was now improving. The station coach is what I like to call a square root of a railway. So basically in the story, a station on Thomas's branch line is vandalized severely. At the same time, Annie and Clarabelle find an abandoned coach on the side of the line. And so the Fat Controller decides to turn it into the new station building for the time being. A railway coach gets turned into the station. It's kind of funny. The pier train is an electric train that travels along the pleasure pier. In the story, Thomas braves the waves. Thomas grows jealous of the pier train until he discovers that it can be rather difficult being an engine that works on a pier, as having to deal with the elements. This story also gave us one of the hardest illustrations ever of Thomas saving a boat in a storm. It's surprisingly good. I don't know why, I just like it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, there's not much to say here about the character, really. It's also cool, though, I gotta admit that. The magazine characters are the utmost obscurity. Some are interesting, and some are just literal background filler that are quite literally just pixels in length. And I know, we didn't cover every single magazine or annual character, as most of them are, like I said, background filler. But I figured it'd be best to just focus on the more somewhat impactful ones for this video, as they had full illustrations, or at least even a few lines said. I know everyone wants the part 2 of the map video. I am working on that. I just figured I might as well get some other videos out in the time being, as I want to make sure that map video is perfect. Say there might be about 1 or 2 more videos in the coming weeks, and then the map video. It all depends. Just know it'll be out within no less than a month from now. Maybe even less, like 2-3 weeks. So yeah. Oh yeah, I'm also working on my Pip and Emma models as well. That'll be a video as well eventually. But yeah, that's kind of everything to talk about. So let's get on to the outro. Thank you all very much for watching this episode, and I'll see you all in the next one. Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of the Porterverse Workbench. Today, we are going to be covering a character that I've been teasing for quite some time now. Here is Arthur. Arthur is a character that has, like, Porter in a sense. I've talked about him in his video. Basically, in the sense that Arthur is a character that first appeared in a fairly subtle season of the TV series, popped up here and there afterwards, got a little beefing up later down the line, and then was eventually never seen again following a major transitional period for the show, whether it be CGI or the full-on reboot. Now it's basically up to us fans to keep the legend alive. You may notice when looking at this model of Arthur that he is a bit different from most interpretations of him. I should dive into that now. So let's dive into the Porterverse backstory of Arthur. Here we go. Arthur is one of the 130 LMS-2MT tank engines built. Which one exactly? No one really knows. However, it is believed that he was built after nationalization and wore BR Black for most of his service life. Arthur was withdrawn from service in the late 60s. And around the same time as Arthur's withdrawal from service, the northwestern region of British Railways was in the middle of separating from British Railways entirely, and a deal was being worked out where a handful of various engines of British Railways would be transferred over to the reborn Northwestern Railway. Arthur was actually chosen by Sir Tom Hutt himself, and was the first of these engines to arrive in 1968. Shortly after arriving, Arthur requested a repaint. He had grown rather sick and tired of wearing the boring British Railways black, and wanted to honor his LMS roots, as he was an LMS design. The condition was that the lettering of it would be that of his new home, the Northwestern Railway. This would become the precedent for all engines wearing lettering on the Northwestern Railway. Arthur would enter service on the Northwestern Railway in January of 1969, wearing LMS maroon with Northwestern Railway lettering. He was assigned to the freshly built Harwick branch line. Arthur would run the line solo until Ryan joined him in the late 70s. Today, Arthur still runs the Harwick branch line with Ryan, and absolutely loves his life on Sodor, and he wouldn't have it any other way. Arthur's model was very easy to make, as it's just an old Bachmann 2MT from Hatton's, repainted. Rest in peace, Hatton's. After the model arrived, I took the body shell off the chassis and prepared it for painting. I primed the body in a gray acrylic. After the primer dried for a full day, I went in with Apple Barrel Barn Red for the base color. I find that this color actually better resembles LMS Maroon, and I didn't want to do just bright red or anything, as it looked too similar to James. I brushed on each coat of paint by hand. Usually I do around 3, maybe 4 coats if needed, but usually 3 is perfect. After another full day of drying, the next step was the lining. Traditional LMS Maroon livery has a two-tone red and black that's separated by yellow lining. I took some inspiration from the unlucky Tugs model of Arthur, and mimicked the lining from there. Except the process was a little bit different. Instead of starting with the black, I actually started with the yellow. I made a fairly generous liner across the tanks, and after that dried, I did some touches with the red, and then I very carefully afterwards went on with the black, as the dark colors tend to cover up better. It was a very, very tedious process. I had to do this for pretty much almost every side of the tanks, cab, bunker, etc. And this all achieved the two-tone look. After the very tedious and nerve-wracking process that was that whole lining deal, I did the lettering. Believe it or not, I actually hand-painted the lining myself. How I achieved the lettering like this? Well, it's very simple. I used masking tape and actually the rivets that were molded onto the body as a guide to make sure the tape was straight. And I used that and made just a little strip gap for me to paint. And then I carefully wrought out the letters with toothpicks for each letter. And after they dried, I very slowly and carefully peeled off the masking tape, and did a few touches here and there with a toothpick and the red paint again, thus achieving the neat NWR on the sides. This was also repeated for the other side of the model. After the whole ordeal with the lettering and lining, came various details with metallic sharpies, and a little bit of paint here and there. And after I glued on the megaphone into the window, I gave the model a matte clear coat. And after that whole massive process, Arthur was finally done. I am really proud of how he turned out. He just fits so well to the collection, you know? I'm also really proud of how the color turned out as well. I was surprised at how well the Apple Barrel Barn Red resembles LMS Maroon. I also would like to take this time to say thank you for the crazy response on the livery special. Thank you all for watching this episode of the Porterverse Workbench, and I shall see you all same time next week.
Day and night. What? I toss and turn, I keep stressing my mind. What? I look for peace, but see I don't attain. What? When if it keeps the silly game we play. Now look at this. What? Man, it's the magnet keeps attracting me. What? I try to run, but see I'm not that fast. What? I think I'm first, but surely finish last. Cause day and night, the lonely stoner seems to free his mind at night. He's all alone through the day and night. The lonely loner seems to free his mind at night. At night, day and night. The lonely stoner seems to free his mind at night.
Welcome everyone to a Portiverse special. Today we'll be going over every livery worn by the engine in the Portiverse. A few commenters have asked for this video to be made, and they got me thinking it'd be pretty fun to make. So here we are. Before I continue, I just want to make this known that everything in this video is all purely headcanon and not official information in regards to the Railway series or Thomas Ttte universe. It's all just headcanon. So if you agree or disagree with anything in this video, it's perfectly fine. And if you find that it strays from official canon in certain areas, it's all intentional. So don't need to freak out about it. And also feel free to drop your own headcanons or even make your own headcanon videos like this. I'd love to see how y'all take it. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get into it. Sodor and Mainland Pale Green. This one of the earliest liveries for engines in the Portiverse. And we'll see it on the Sodor Mainland Railway between 1856 and 1923. Notable engines who wore this livery include Neil and Emily, along with the other Sodor Mainland engines. Wellsworth and Sudbury Orange. This was the primary livery of the railway, see between 1881 and 1923. Notable engines who wore this livery include Billy and Charlie. Knapford and Ulfstead Red. This was the livery of the railway's first generation of engines, mostly the coffee pots. Notable engines that wore this livery include Glynn. Knapford and Ulfstead Viridian. This was the primary livery of the KNUR's second generation of engines from 1895 to 1912. And this livery was mostly suited to passenger engines. Engines who wore this livery included Thomas and Bluebell. Knapford Allsborough and Ulfstead Railway Viridian. This is basically the same as the KNUR's version, but with brass elements like domes and other little details here and there. This was seen between 1912 and 1918 by the same engines that wore the other livery. KNUR Black. This was the goods livery for the railway, seen around the same time. I always like this livery. The green line makes it pop, you know. KNUR Yellow. This livery was seen on Molly up until grouping took effect. Tidmouth, Wellsworth, and Brenham Light Railway Blue. This was seen on engines from 1918 and 1923. This is probably my personal favorite livery out of them all. Seems so striking, you know. Notable engines who wore this livery include Thomas, Edward, and Henry. Northwestern Railway Blue. This was the Northwestern's livery that primarily went to passenger engines, although there were some exceptions here and there. Engines who wore this livery include Thomas, Edward, Gordon, Pip, Emma, and many others. Northwestern Railway Green. This was the Northwestern Railway's goods livery. Users included Percy, Henry, Bear, and Rigner, or D261. Northwestern Railway Red. This livery was the primary of the many mixed traffic liveries that the Northwestern Railway had. Basically any color that wasn't green or blue was for mixed traffic engines. Red was one of the more common ones. Notable users of this livery include James and Rosie. Northwestern Orange. This is the livery of Murdoch. He is the only engine that wears this color, actually. Pretty unique in that sense. Northwestern Purple. This is Ryan's livery, and he is also the only engine who wears this color. Pretty unique, I must say. Northwestern Yellow. This is Molly's modern day livery, very similar to her old livery, but with solid red lining as opposed to the dual red and green lining. Northwestern Emerald Jade. This is a special livery worn by only a few engines, these being Daisy, Emily, and Paxton. Northwestern Indigo. This is the livery for exclusively banking engines. Notable users include Bell and Antares. Northwestern Chocolate Brown. This color is mostly seen on tram engines. Users include Toby, Sigrid, and the former trams of the Arlesdale line. Northwestern Pale Red. This is a color exclusively used on Riff and Jiff, except one has pale yellow accenting, while the other has cyan accenting. Wartime Black. This livery was worn by pretty much all British steam engines during World War II. On Sodor, the standard gauge engines will just have the simple NW lettering. Skarloey Railway Strawberry. This is the original livery of the SKR in its early days, and the engines will have white wheels. Users were Skarloey and Rheneas. Skarloey Railway Red. This is the modern-day primary livery of the Skarloey Railway. Users include Skarloey, Rheneas, Falcon, Peter Sam, and Duncan. SKR Orange. This is Rusty's livery. He's the only engine who wears this color, pretty much. Skarloey Railway Yellow. This is Duncan's livery that he wears in the Preservation era. He is also the only engine who wears his livery. Skarloey Railway Cyan. This is the livery of none other than the legendary Fred. Totally not an Autobot. Mid-Soda Railway Brown. This livery was worn by Duke, and he still wears it today. Mid-Soda Railway Green. This is mostly the freight livery, and it was worn by Peter, Sam, and Ned. Mid-Soda Railway Blue. This livery was worn by Falcon and Albert. It is also a freight livery, although that designation for liveries never really matched, as all the engines were rather flip-flop between duties. Sodor China Clay Company Peach. This livery was worn by every SEC-owned engine. Knapford Harbor Board Red. This is the livery of KHB No. 1 Salty. Knapford Harbor Board Festive Green. This is the livery of KHB No. 2 Porter. Ofsted Castle Railway Cardinal Red. This is Caitlin's livery. Ofsted Castle Railway Blue. This is Connor's livery. Again, pretty simple. Ofsted Castle Railway White. This is Stanley's livery. UCR Silver. This is Kendi's livery. It's pretty simple. Great Western Railway Mint. This is the GWR's livery in the Porterverse as opposed to the boring drab green. Pretty much any engine who has or will be wearing this livery in real life, in the Porterverse they'll be wearing a more minty green. And these of course include Duck and Oliver. Big City Railroad Yellow. On the Big City Railroad, this livery will go to almost exclusively passenger engines. Users included 10 Cents, Top Hat, Sunshine, and Hercules, along with a few others. Big City Railroad Maroon. This was the BCRR's freight livery. Users included Zoran, Zip, and Zug, along with a few others. Big City Railroad Teal. This is the one and only Sam's livery, and he was the only engine to ever wear this livery. Boomer Orange. This is the livery that Boomer wears in Preservation. He used to wear the Big City Railroad's maroon in service life, but then when he was preserved, he would be painted orange. Sodor Paintworks Light Blue. This delivery that Victor wears. Victor is the shunt at the paintworks located between Ellsbridge and Crosby. Garbage Green. This is Whiff's livery. It is one of the two liveries for the waste stub shunters. Garbage Lime. This is Scruff's livery, and it's the second livery of the waste stub shunters. Arlesdale Mini Cherry. This is Mike's livery. Arlesdale Mini Lime. This is Rex's livery. Arlesdale Mini Blueberry. This is Bert's livery. Arlesdale Mini Lemon. This is Jock's livery. Arlesdale Mini Cinderblock. This is Frank's livery. LMS Maroon. This is the livery of the London, Midland, and Scottish Railway. Kildane Transport Violet. This livery was worn by the engines who ran on the Kildane branch line. The surviving members of the Northwestern Railway subdivision still wears livery today. Woo, man! That was a lot of colors to go through. Kind of crazy, I just realized that. A lot of them are almost identical to each other, yet they're all very different at the same time. Pretty interesting. This video was actually a lot of fun to drum up. Just thank you all to those who suggested. So I think that's everything I gotta say for this video. Thank you all very much for watching this Porter special. And I'll see you all same time next week as always.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.